This is my Astra VXR, and in this video, I'm going to go through everything I've done in the first year of owning it. Literally the first time I drove the car, I spotted that one of the number plate lights was out. I fitted some new auto beam LED lights and removed the exhaust heat shield that you could see hanging off the bottom of the car. Next up was a full service. I changed the oil filter, the oil, the spark plugs, the rocker cover gasket, and the rocker cover itself for a nice new painted one, which I did myself in the garage with some rattle cans from Halfords. The cabin filter also got replaced, and I actually bought the car with about 8 years of missing service history, so all of this was probably well in need of getting done in the first week of ownership. The next day my dad gave it a test drive, and I think he approves. Enjoy it yourself. Next on the list was debadging the boot. The Vauxhall badge came off, and so did the Astra lettering on the left, but I left the VXR badge, as otherwise, how are you going to know it's a VXR? The exhaust tip got a good polishing, and then I peeled off the black vinyl that someone had put on the driver's side door, because there was none on the other side, so it wasn't symmetrical. The wiper blades on the car were really old, and they bounced across the windscreen whenever you turned them on, so I replaced them with brand new Bosch ones, and after a wash it was looking pretty good if you ask me. I started to notice some movement in the gear stick when lifting the clutch up in first, which indicates the dreaded M32 bearing failure, so I got it booked in at a local gearbox place for upgraded bearings and a wave track diff fitted. This is a major handling upgrade that lets you keep your foot planted round corners without any one wheel peels, and it has the side effect of some really good burnouts. The fun didn't last long though, as on the way back from the Vauxhall show, the car nearly cut out a mile from home. The messy MAF wiring extension in the engine bay was an obvious culprit, so I chopped it out and tried to redo my own with solder and heat shrink. It wasn't perfect, but the car ran 10 times better after that, so I binned the old extension, which had been hacked together from single strand wire and crimp connectors, and hoped I wouldn't have to worry about it again for a while.
In the bin!
Then it was time to tackle the brakes, which were MOT advisories for 2 years before I got the car. I got a full set of M-Tech dimpled and grooved discs, and EBC yellow stuff pads, and changed my own brakes for the first time ever. The rear BCS delete unlocks full power in first and second gear, and simplifies the vacuum lines, so that was the next mod on my list. The best part is it's free, and it only takes a few minutes. Remember how I said I hoped I could forget about the temporary wiring loom fix for a while? Well, it didn't last long. After a couple of months, the car threw a bunch of codes and wouldn't rev when you pressed the accelerator. All of this indicated a ground problem somewhere in the wiring loom, and the MAF extension was an obvious culprit. So I ordered a complete replacement loom off of Breakers on eBay, and another one, because I kept getting sent looms with the wrong cam position sensor plug, but eventually we got there in the end, and after a few hours of work, the looms were swapped over, and the car worked fine again. This time with a plug-in MAF extension loom, and no more chopped up wires. I got it fixed just a few days before I had a drive out booked with Rampage Rally up through the Pennines and Scotland, and the VXR didn't miss a beat the whole time, apart from getting a hole in the air filter. So I ordered a Venturi MAF adapter and a 114mm filter from Sprogly Motorsport, which is a huge visual improvement over the Piper Cross foam filter, and should give a slight performance gain as well due to the Venturi MAF housing. Sprogly also make a 40mm 3D printed gear stick razor, which I ordered at the same time, and with that fitted, the VXR is so much nicer to shift, because the top of it actually sticks out above the seats now. Next up, the money pit needed a new cam belt, because there was no indication it had ever been done, so the one that was on there had probably been on for about 13 years, and I think you're supposed to change them after 8 to 10, even if you've not done the recommended mileage. Again, this was my first time doing a cam belt change, and it didn't go completely smoothly, but I got there in the end. The trouble doesn't stop there though, because my MOT was due a couple of weeks later, and it failed on rear axle bushings, like every Astra will at some point in its life. So after hours of bashing the old ones out, I swapped them for some white line poly bushers, and fitted a white line rear anti-roll bar while I was under there. This was a massive handling transformation again, like the diff provided, but at 1/10 of the cost. Definitely the best couple of mods you can do to these cars. After a while, I decided it was time to spruce up the engine bay and finally get rid of all the yellow MTC stuff, which I never really liked. I fitted a metal intake heat shield from Courtenay Sport, which should keep IATs down when stopped in traffic, a satin black intake with blue silicone hoses from Sprogly Motorsport, along with an AirTech top hat and an AirTech catch can. I also dyed the dipstick and coolant cap with fabric dye in boiling water, which complements the blue and black colour scheme nicely. A couple of months went by without anything really needing to be done on the car, which gave me some time to enjoy it, before it went to CSK Race Exhausts for a 3.5-inch exhaust system custom made specifically for my car. This consists of a 3-inch downpipe to match the stock turbo outlet, into a 4-inch high temp race cat, and a 3.5-inch catback system, with the two biggest silencers you could possibly fit under the Astra. This fixed the awful drone my previous exhaust had, making the car just quiet enough for track days, while still flowing well enough to support over 500 horsepower with plumb back wastegates when I go big turbo in the future. This next change is a bit more mundane, but I replaced the fuel cap with a brand new one because the old one wasn't sealing properly and you could smell fumes in the cabin every time you filled up and didn't crank it tight enough. I also got a brand new genuine OPC coil pack cover because I scratched the VXR one by leaving tools on it all the time. And then I got on with the next major handling mods for what we'll call V1 of the Traxtra. These are the Vibrotechnics Road engine mounts, which are 3 times stiffer than standard. They do offer a race or competition version, but they're 10 times stiffer and will rattle your daily driver to pieces. These give way sharper turn-in by holding the engine steady so you don't have 200 kilograms sloshing about in the engine bay. They really are a must-have for consistency and feel on track. I also fitted a brand new gearbox mount because mine had split, and a yellow Powerflex gearbox mount to stiffen it up even more. The final prep before my first ever track day would be braided brake lines, which I got from Courtenay Sport. These are full stainless steel with a clear plastic coating over the braided steel to prevent corrosion. I used high temp brake fluid and flushed the whole system because the old fluid was gross and well past its prime, with black particles floating in it. This should give way better brake feel and stop me from cooking the fluid on track. While it was still on the ramps, I gave the car a wheels off wash and got it glistening ready for track day photos, blissfully unaware that it would chuck it down for the whole track day pretty much. Oh well. With a year of hard work catching up on maintenance and modifying the car ready for this moment, it was finally time to take the VXR on track. I headed to Donington Park with a few friends and pushed the Astra to its limits. It performed flawlessly, going out for 10 or 15 minutes per session, probably 10 times throughout the day. The brakes faded after every 3 or 4 laps, but that was enough to get the tyres warm and send it round a couple of times, then do a cool down lap before heading back to the pits. It was so rewarding to see all that hard work pay off without a hitch, exactly 1 year after the day I bought the disrespected VXR.
That was fun.
And that's it. Shortly after the track day I de-chromed the car, and I haven't done anything else to it while waiting for parts to upgrade the cooling system before doing a standalone conversion next month. If you liked the video, you can see full episodes with each mod on my channel, and there's more to come, so consider subscribing. Thanks for watching and following along over the past year.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do I work hard or live at my pace? You're only young one, yeah, that's all great, but I also want a future where I'm okay. Living life is doing lots of cocaine. Wait, no, it's living with no shame. Wait, no, it's sleeping in on Sundays. I guess it's different for each of us and that's okay. Well, I just want to be happy. How to get there? Glad that you asked me. I think it's different for everyone. Some of us need work, others need fun. Some of us need purpose to overcome. But try to do what you love when it's said and done. Cause there's so many differences in each of us. Trust your gut, it can show you what you want. Living life, every day, late at night.